Ben with Spirited Drives and Unreliable Cars, and if you've watched me long enough and if you've watched the show long enough, you know that there are many cars that even if I appreciate, I'll never own one. BMW, the new Minis, Jaguar, Aston Martin, right? Cars that I don't necessarily think are garbage. Well, we'll talk about the new Minis on another episode, but maybe they're just cars that, yeah, I think they're great, but the cost to maintain one is something that is just not me. I said I will never own a BMW. I had a BMW 7 Series. I sold it 2 weeks later. I said I'd never own a new Mini. Twice I've done the new Mini. I'll never own another one. You know, I love Aston Martins. I love Jaguar, but unless you've got a lot of money to maintain, if you've got just enough money to buy one, you don't want to own it because they're just going to be expensive to maintain. And I bet there's a lot of people out there right now that are going to get all pissed off and tell me I'm full of you know what. But you know, hey, it's just me, and that's how I look at it. Another one of those cars I said I will never ever own is a Cadillac. So today we're going to be going over my 2008 Cadillac DTS. I did it again. Why did I buy one if I said I never would? I'm going to tell you. Ben Compton, thank you. Spirited Drives, Unreliable Cars, and let's talk Cadillac. So it is a nasty winter. North Idaho is getting hit with snow and ice and rain, and then it melts, and I've been waiting and waiting to shoot a video on the car, and I'm just not going to get good weather. So this might be the dirtiest car I've ever done a quick video on, but this is the 2008, again, Cadillac DTS, which stands for DeVille Touring Sedan, that I picked up at an auction a couple of weeks ago. And I'm going to say right off the bat that in the couple of weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it's been that I've had the car, I have absolutely fallen in love with the lines on it. It has just enough chrome not to be ostentatious. I love these big, giant, tall LED taillights that kind of evoke back to the older Cadillacs where they had the big, long, narrow taillights in the back. I could open the trunk, but you know what? There's a million videos out there with people telling you how huge the trunk is on these. I love the dual exit tailpipes on it. You know, there's just a lot that this car has really sold me on. And again, I think the lines are definitely one of it. You go and you look at the inside. I have never had a car with this much rear seat room. The rear seats are heated and cooled. They recline. You've got this neat little access area. You can't see it because it's hidden, but behind that center console is a little door that gives you access to the trunk. The front seats, equally as spacious and as comfortable as the rear, heated and cooled, heated steering wheel. One thing about this car, and I certainly wouldn't have known it when I bought it, but it has the column shift and this really nice, it's not on right now because the car is not on, this really nice LED screen with controls for almost everything. Apparently that's kind of rare. Hit the forums up, and various folks on Facebook have told me that apparently that's really well sought after. It was an optional feature that is relatively hard to find. Again, I might have Cadillac guys say, no, it isn't. I've got a million of them. I haven't seen one yet. I actually looked at several other DTSs on Facebook and Craigslist, and I have yet to come across another one that has that feature. But it's very interesting to me. Oh, by the way, built-in massagers. We discovered that by accident the day we bought it. But you know, again, it's interesting to me that this is a 2008, and it has more features on it than the last new car I purchased, which was a 2017 Ford Fusion Titanium with all the bells and whistles. And this thing has even more than that car did, and it's obviously quite a bit older. So front wheel drive, so far it's doing very well in the snow. It built like a tank, all that weight, and again, front wheel drive. I put some decent snow tires on it, and it's doing very, very well. So yeah, I've tried to hate the car, and it's making it very difficult. It has been an extremely pleasant car to drive. So Ben owns a Cadillac. I never thought I'd see the day. Okay, so Glennie drives 75, 80 miles per day. So we've always had something that was very economical, a Hyundai and Mini. The most recent vehicle we had was a 1994 Buick Century. You can laugh and you can snicker, and I'll get it. I wasn't looking for a 1994 Buick Century. I stumbled across it on Facebook Marketplace, if I remember right. The car had less than 40,000 miles on it. An elderly lady bought it when she was barely driving a car, lost her license, kept it in the garage for most of its life, and when people would visit her from out of town, they would use that. So she passed away, and I didn't need it. My mother ended up buying it for a song for almost next to nothing from the 72-year-old daughter. And then when we moved out to Idaho and Glennie needed another commuter, we had the Buick. So I kind of have a thing for the Buicks, and this had the 3800 too, which is a great engine. And again, the car had no miles on it. It looked like it had literally just come off the assembly line. No scratches, no dents, no nicks, no tears, no miles. And that was her driver. Well, somebody slammed into the car a few weeks ago, and that was that. Kind of heartbreaking. Again, an old car, but it was in great shape. So I didn't go out seeking a replacement. Used car market is not very cool right now. You know that. We ended up going to an auction, a car auction, auto auction, to look at something totally different. There was a Morris Minor there, and I went, and the car went for a good price, but I didn't really need it, so I stopped bidding on it. There was 400 cars going out that day. They were doing them one at a time. The weather was horrible. This Cadillac was car number 341, and by the time they were getting close to this car, everyone had left. They'd gone home. There was nobody bidding online. It's not that I ran over and said, look at this Cadillac. I actually kind of walked by it, and I thought, that car actually looks pretty nice. So, you know, what the heck? I got the keys for it, started it up. It sounded great. There was no check engine light. But still, you know, it's a Cadillac. Ugh. I happen to have on speed dial one of the best GM techs in the country, a young man that is hands down the best GM person in Alaska, one of the best in the nation. His name is Justin Gentz. I'll give a shameless plug for his shop if you're in Alaska, if you got friends in Alaska, any car at all, it doesn't matter, but especially GM. This is the young man to talk to. So I called him up and I said, hey, in about 10 vehicles from now, you know, they're going to put this Cadillac up on the block, and I think it's going to go for next to nothing because nobody's bidding. And I gave him all the particulars on it, you know, North Star, and he said North Stars are a little bit more to maintain, you know, Cadillac. But this particular one, for lack of a better term, is like a Gen 2 or Gen 3. They don't use that term, but basically North Stars, the early North Stars had issues with head stud bolts, causing head gasket issues and leaking. And by the time this car was made, they had addressed all of it. They'd changed it. They'd made them much better. And as long as the car is well maintained, and this car's only got 100,000 miles on it, he said, I think you're going to be okay, Dad. So I do tend to like the dash on it. Right now the car is turned off, so everything's kind of off. I think the analog clock is kind of classy, as is the nice wood trim. Again, it's got just enough flash that I think it looks nice. It's not over the top. It's not gaudy, for lack of a better word. And I like when you start the car. Yeah, it's got that really neat startup with the gauges flipping all the way over. Again, is it silly? Maybe, but I dig it. The LED screen, apparently that was something that was offered as an optional extra that not a whole lot of people got. I looked up the numbers. They didn't sell a lot of them with this, but I really like it. And again, I can hear the airbags pumping up in the back. It's just a very pleasant car to sit in and drive. This particular car had 104,000 when I bought it. We're still at 104,000. I've had it a few weeks now. So I never wanted to own a Cadillac. I've got a Cadillac. So what is this car like to drive? The Cadillac stereotype, big and floaty and, you know, like a barge on a choppy sea. Or the new Cadillac, the CTS-Vs, you know, sharp and crisp, sports sedan. The answer, which one is it? Yes, both. I don't know how to describe it. It does, I don't know if I want to use the word float. It's very comfortable. It just glides over bumps and ruts. It's very smooth. You can, pardon me, you can see on road trips, the car would be just amazing. The car was built for road trips. But when you think of Cadillac, especially 70s, you know, maybe even 80s, when they were just kind of float all over, it doesn't do that either. You go around a corner, you don't get all that body roll. Something about a magnetic something or other suspension. I've read it. I still don't quite understand it, but it's you can't put a definition on what it's like. The suspension is not sporty, the suspension is not big and floaty. It's just a comfortable car. What really got me the first couple of times I've driven it, even earlier today, she goes like hell. It's got a great throaty growl when you get on it. That 4.6 North Star sounds wonderful coming out the ass end throughout the tailpipes on it. She gets up and goes. You don't feel it. It's almost scary. You know, you're in this very quiet, very heavy, very quiet car, and you punch it, and she takes off, and you look down, and next thing you know, you're doing 100. You don't even feel it. Everything I've read on these cars will quite easily go well into the 100s. I think they're even speed limited, if I remember right. And they just get up and go. But again, it's quiet and it's comfortable and it sneaks up on you. So, again, what would I love to do in this car? Drive around the country. I just can't see a car being a better long distance road trip car. And I got to tell you, I've got a really high benchmark on that. I've had new cars that could not hold a candle to my old 2002 Buick LeSabre. I drove that thing all the way down, straight shot from Western Washington to LA. And I got out of that car feeling, what was really big bumps right now, good old Idaho snow. I drove that car straight shot to LA, and I got out tired, but just as comfortable as when I had gone in, you know, no back pain or anything. This car trumps that hands down. I've never owned a car this amazing for comfort. So yeah, it's kind of everything. It's powerful, it accelerates, it's quiet, it's comfortable, it doesn't float and roll all over, but at the same time it doesn't jar your kidneys. I'm sold. I did not expect it, but yeah, this car's amazing. So anyway, if you happen to come across a nice used one that's been well maintained or low mileage, check it out. Glad I did. So what have I had to do since we've had the car? Put snow tires on it. I don't think that's a big deal. The car is not leaking a drop of oil. It's not leaking any coolant. I did have to replace some of the sending units in the wheels for the tire pressure, $75 each. Not a big deal. And the car so far has been great. So have I come around? Right? I am going to scratch Cadillac off my list, and they're a great car to buy. Have I changed my opinion? No. No, I still am nervous about the fact that I own a high-tech Caddy with all this stuff, and I am still nervous it's got the North Star. But I think unless something goes catastrophically wrong, again, this car is so pleasant to drive, so comfortable, the handling, the horsepower. I think I might be willing to do it. If I have to put occasional bucks into it to fix a leaky gasket or a water pump, and it's a little bit more, would be on a Chevy or a Pontiac, I think I'm willing to do it. I've gone all over the forums, I've crawled all over the Facebook groups and pages, and I'm kind of starting to see this consensus on, yeah, we know these cars have issues. They don't have issues that are any worse than any other car. They just cost a little bit more because Cadillac. But there's people out there running around in these DTSs with 200, 300,000 miles on them that are very happy that they've done it. I've even found a handful of celebrities who can afford brand new stuff that are hanging on to these DTSs because they like the car so much. And that's the other thing too. This is considered to be the last of the true Cadillac. The DTS was kind of the final hurrah of the big Cadillac-like flagship, the really big, comfy car. Because after that, they totally changed their image up and they wanted more of a European competing sports sedan. They tightened the suspensions up. They got a little bit smaller. As far as I can tell, driving this car, it almost seems like a transition car to me. It still has the big, giant Cadillac, everything. It's still very comfy and comfortable and soft. At the same time, like I said, boy, she really gets up and goes, like right now, and it doesn't float all over the road. You can kind of see where Cadillac was starting to go, where they were heading when they came out with this car. So Ben Compton now owns a Cadillac. You know what? I'm going to tell you, I wouldn't mind maybe getting another one. Oof. Yeah, glutton for punishment, maybe. We'll see. There's a few of them I've seen on Marketplace that are like a dark black cherry. Oh, they're so pretty with a black interior. That's another thing too. The prices on these are all over. For the price I paid for this one, you'll find them out there and they're complete trash, like parts cars. So we really scored this car for next to nothing. I've seen these go up to $16,000, $17,000. I've seen these going for $28,000. Very low mileage cars. Prices are really all over. So anyway, if you want to check them out, go for it. Go on Facebook Marketplace, go on Craigslist, read up on them. I think at this point I'd recommend it. This has been a great purchase that I didn't want, that I have. So 2008 Cadillac DTS. Ben Compton with Spirited Drives and Unreliable Cars. Thanks for being here.